a place seemingly forgotten by the bustling world beyond its pine-clad borders. The air hung thick with secrets, as if the very fog that rolled over the lake was woven from the whispers of the woods. It was a small-town panorama that could have been plucked from a Lynchian dream. Bright Falls had that eerie, stuck-in-time vibe like Twin Peaks. The kind of town where coffee is always on and the pie's too good to be just a pie, masking the oddness that lurked just out of sight. Alan Wake wandered these lands before, a writer whose nightmares bled into the lake and the air. Even the shadows seemed to be eavesdropping here. Alan Wake treaded a fine line between reality and the nightmarish echoes of his own fictions. Each step a dance with shadows, on the knife edge of dark place where Alan Wake desperately seeks a way out. The narratives often weave through the mechanics and graphics, sometimes serving more as context rather than the core experience. However, Remedy Entertainment's Alan Wake 2 transcends this norm, fusing the narrative depth with gameplay. Alan Wake 2 doesn't just tell a story, it builds a world enshrouded in mystery that is a part of the Remedyverse. Added with psychological intrigue, much like the fog-draped town of Bright Falls where it takes place. I'm Arcadenaut here, and today we'll delve into the narrative excellence of Alan Wake 2, a title that could very well be regarded as Remedy's magnum opus, as a new wave Silent Hill experience, and also as the best narrative experience of 2023. Alan Wake 2 is a journey through the perils of the creative mind, themes of doubt, fear, and sometimes the terrifying process of creation are always on the stage. Remedy's choice to craft the story through the dual perspectives of Alan Wake and FBI Agent Saga Anderson is a stroke of genius. Adding layers as this dual narrative approach allows players to change between the grounded, procedural detective work of Saga and the surreal, psychological horror experienced by Alan, entangled and bound to each other. Alan Wake's journey is a descent into a personal hell, a reminiscent of Dante's Inferno, while Saga's methodical investigation echoes the meticulous work of Clarice Starling from The Silence of the Lambs. Saga Anderson's role is not merely to serve as a counterpart to Alan, but to ground the narrative, providing a touchdown of reality against which the game's more fantastical elements can contrast. Her mind plays, a manifestation of her logical process, offers players a tangible grasp on the narrative's complexity. Her investigation leads her down a path that is as much as about solving the mystery of the murders as it is also about understanding this enigmatic writer at the center of it all. Her logical, methodical approach is the perfect counterpoint to Alan's more chaotic and intuitive one. Her approach and the atmosphere of Bright Falls brings to mind the first season of True Detective, where the investigation is as much as about understanding the human condition as it is about solving the crimes. Her narrative arc, grounded in reality but surrounded by the supernatural, also mirrors a thematic tension present in Twin Peaks. David Lynch's masterpiece is again where the ordinary is only a facade for the strange and the uncanny, just like in Alan Wake 2. Before delving deeper into the narrative and the inspirations, let's talk about Alan Wake as well. During the prequel, Alan's creative block manifests into a living nightmare, an allusion to the inner demons that plague many creative minds. This metaphorical battle is brilliantly personified in the game's environment and the enemies within. Wake's journey in the dark place, a twisted reflection of his psyche, again inspired by television's Twin Peaks. Just as Twin Peaks straddled the line between the bizarre and the mundane, Alan Wake 2 finds harmony in this duality, embracing the supernatural while maintaining a thread of the familiar. To put it simply, Alan Wake is just a troubled writer caught in the throes of his dark imaginings. This introspective journey mirrors Scorsese's Taxi Driver with Alan Wake, like Travis Bickle navigating through his personal darkness and societal chaos. However, with the expanded Remedyverse, Wake's internal struggle turns into a more paranormal one. A paranatural entity known as the Scratch is recreating the reality and spreading the dark place into the real world through Alan Wake's works. And here we encounter a game that embodies the confluence of a detective fiction and horror. Genres that normally thrive on the tension between the known and the unknown. These contrasting sides emphasize with Remedy's storytelling prowess, where fear and intrigue are not just parallel tracks, but also intertwined paths that lead to the heart of the narrative experience. However, I believe there is also one supportive character that I feel like I must mention, and it's Alex Casey. Remedy is homage to its own legacy through the character of Alex Casey, who now embodies the elements of Max Payne. Alex Casey is a clever nod to the studio's past. Sam Lake's portrayal of Casey adds layers to the character, infusing him with the aspects of Alan Wake 2 and the depth that Max Payne was known for. This interplay between the past and present works is not just self-referential indulgence but also including Alex Casey to the Remedyverse as well. Possibly due to Rockstar having the rights of Max Payne, I believe Remedy might have recreated Max Payne with Alex Casey, and since they also have Max Payne remake in the development, we might just see more of Alex Casey connected with Remedyverse more often. Alex Casey, again a manifestation of Wake's literary success and his personal demons, serves as a reflection on the nature of artistic creation. Casey is not just a character but also an embodiment of Wake's psyche, his fears, his ambitions, and maybe a braver, stronger version of him. This duality between creator and creation, where one cannot exist without the other, is explored with depth. Alex Casey helping Alan to survive in the dark place, while Alan writes about Alex Casey in his novels, adding new chapters to this depressed and gloomy detective. Their meeting in this nightmare version of New York is also nostalgia for anyone who played the original Max Payne. The city feels like a dreamscape that is both alien and deeply personal. The rain-soaked streets, the reflection of neon on wet asphalt, walls that are adorned with graffitis connected to Alan Wake's psyche. These are not just mere visuals but also narrative tools that Remedy employs to amplify the surreal quality of Alan's descent. The blend of normal and surreal is one of the core aspects of Alan Wake 2. The psychological horror of Alan Wake 2 is not just about the embodiment of traumas or broken minds. It's about the town of Bright Falls, much like the iconic Twin Peaks, is a character in itself, brimming with secrets and an underlying sense of foreboding. This David Lynch influence becomes more obvious, more charming, and more captivating as the narrative unfolds, layered, mysterious, and often blurring the lines between reality and the surreal. Just as Twin Peaks revolutionized TV storytelling with its blend of mundane and the supernatural, Alan Wake pushes the boundaries of video game narrative, weaving a tale that is as much as about the eerie, inexplicable happenings of Bright Falls as it's about its inhabitants. The thematic parallels between horror and detective fiction, both genres that are fundamentally about the exploration of something strange or a crime that has occurred, take shape as Saga Anderson intersects with Alan Wake's own struggle against the supernatural forces at play. This blend of detective work and horror, a hallmark of Lynch's work, creates a gripping narrative that compels the players to uncover the truth, despite the growing sense of dread. With each step into the dark place, as both Alan Wake and Saga Anderson, they both take a glance at the dark place. And the dark place also stares back, taking something precious from them. And this intersection of mundane and supernatural happens with what they call the overlap in Alan Wake, as a reminiscent of Lynch's portrayal of parallel dimensions and Twin Peaks, serving as a narrative tool to explore the character psyches and the underlying mysteries of Bright Falls. The intense reds and blending of worlds in these sequences evoke a sense of surrealism and disorientation, much like the unsettling ambience of Lynch's works. These stylistic influences of David Lynch extend to the art direction and the tone. However, that's not all. The narrative and the world build of Alan Wake 2 doesn't just stop there with the stylistic influences of David Lynch. The Coen brothers' work Fargo, Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver, David Fincher's Seven, these works all breathed life into Alan Wake 2's world, and adding their flavor. And I believe this part of the Remedyverse is indeed carefully woven and built by passion. You can't help yourself but to feel that rain-drenched, neon-lit streets of Alan's New York nightmare bound to Scorsese's Taxi Driver or Remedy's Max Payne. Or you can't shake that familiar feeling, that familiar vibe of Fight Club when you see Alan meeting Alex Casey for the first time in his life. Alex Casey's purpose is not just to blur the line between fiction and reality, but also, as I mentioned before, covering Alan's vulnerable sides as well, underscoring the game's theme of the power of storytelling. The surreal encounters between Alan and Casey in the dark place echo the psychological complexity of films like Fight Club, where the line between reality and imagination becomes increasingly blurred. On the other hand, the ritualistic killings and the dark, foreboding atmosphere of Bright Falls resonate with the grim storytelling of Seven, while Saga's journey, as she uncovers layers of mystery in the town, parallels the narrative style of The Silence of the Lambs, where each clue leads to a deeper understanding of the darkest side of the seemingly peaceful town. And when we think of psychological horror, when we hear the genre psychological horror, we immediately think and imagine twisted and corrupted minds, lurking danger and threat of the unknown. And this is logical, this is what comes up to mind at first. And I think the moment I decided Alan Wake 2 has the best narrative amongst the games of this year was when I started to play V-Sync sequence. It is again a surreal, dreamlike sequence where the characters that are intertwined with Alan Wake all play in a musical. It is the most obscure sequence of the game, with the music playing as you progress with Alan through a concert stage. It clearly shows that psychological horror doesn't need to be just gloomy or twisted. It can also find and create its own disturbing narrative in absurdity and surrealism as well. And perhaps this is the way, the twisted narrative that Remedy wanted to create. And I think Remedy wanted to create a nice cup of coffee blended with psychological horror and detective noir. From the ethereal strangeness of David Lynch's Twin Peaks to the gritty realism of Scorsese's Taxi Driver and the intricate suspense of Fincher's Seven. The dual journeys of Alan Wake and Saga Anderson, the complex interplay of reality and fiction embodied by Alex Casey, where the boundaries of genre and the medium blur into a singular, unforgettable experience. It is here the absurdity, the surrealism, the horror and the thrill of the unknown blends into one marvelous and memorable journey. Marking the best narrative of 2023, reminding that horror can transcend into something totally different, something really bizarre. And as always, thank you for watching today's video. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, subscribe to my channel, or join my Discord channel if you enjoy my content. Any kind of humble support is really appreciated. More will soon to come. Stay tuned.
Champion of light,
Catchy, right?
herald of darkness, lost in the Swedish brothers, perkele.